Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at the NBA here on Saturday. Got 6 games to choose from. Coming off a decent night, a lot of work for no losses, but only a little bit of profit. We'll go over how we did here and the 13 bets we had on the card on Friday. Also, like I said, going to run through what I've got here for Saturday. It's a weird little wonky slate, so I'm going to be checking out what you should be looking at to help you make your bets as these injury reports come out, because they're still very murky. So we need to know a little bit more to be able to bet on the NBA about who's going to play. So I'm going to show you what to look for today. If that all sounds good, give that video a like and let's get right into it. Like I said, 7-6 plus 0.1 units. So a lot of work to just make basically $10 for those of us betting $100 units here. Really good stuff on the wins for sure. Mark Williams, best player of the NBA. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Scotty Barnes cashed at the half, and Desmond Bane almost cashed at the half too for that first bet up top there for the Grizz. Basically the point guard now. Whenever Ja is out, we saw Scottie Pippen Jr. doing a lot of work at the point guard spot for them when Ja was out, and now it's very clearly Desmond Bane alongside obviously some Jaren Jackson Jr. And then the man at the bottom of those victories there, Santi Aldama on the Grizz as well. Over 10.5 points and the 15 plus and the 20 plus and 25 plus. Man had an incredible game, and because he gets the minutes when they play against the Spurs, he is a very good defender for Wemby, probably the best on their team outside of Jaren Jackson Jr. So they're going to keep giving him minutes against the Spurs, and we're going to keep taking Santi props against the Spurs. Isaiah Collier is still an unknown entity. Let's just move past it so that nobody knows about him yet, because he's freaking incredible at the point guard position for the Jazz. Even with Sexton and Keontae George out there, the man still had like 11 dimes and 3 or 4 boards to go along with it. So we're going to keep hitting the RA for Collier. We're going to keep hitting the assists for him. This man is a dynamite point guard right now for that squad. And then Lou Dort came through by hitting 4 threes for us. A little bit of a stretch there at the end, but they did end up losing that game, and he still got the minutes that we needed with everybody, including SGA out. So we took Lou Dort there. As far as the losses go, Giannis 6.5 dimes. Look, I mean, it was a read based on how this team, Toronto, had been playing them. I put a half a unit on it for plus 105 for him to get the 7, because I assumed that at the very least, if they keep trying to do what they're doing, then he's going to get the dimes. But Toronto mixed it up entirely. They no longer doubled Giannis in this last game, and that's the risk you take when you make a play based on strategies, coaching tendencies, and stuff like that. And we didn't see the same stuff we'd seen from him 3 prior games against Toronto, and then it just changed. So not much you can do about that. But Miles Bridges did not get the boards. He didn't even come close to the boards, and we might need to go back away from that play. That's hit 3 or 4 times in a row for us with the boards for Miles Bridges, but 8 is a bit high, and Mark Williams now playing 30 plus minutes is going to mean fewer rebounds available for Miles Bridges, because Mark Williams is so freaking good. Kyle Filipowski couldn't break the rotation. I don't know what to do with the Jazz. I know Collier's probably safe with his minutes and a few other guys, but I mean, Filipowski does not have anything close to safe minutes. I thought he played 20. He didn't come close to it. Didn't touch the floor in the fourth quarter, and only needed 1 more bucket. Still went 2 for 2 in the like 12 minutes that he played, but bad read there as far as the minutes go. That's the problem with that. Mikal Bridges just missed. He had the second most shots on the team after Jalen Brunson. As soon as Cat was out, we got a really nice price at 17.5 for Miles. He had 10 at the half. Or Mikal rather, had 10 at the half and couldn't come through for us. So that's just one of those beats. You just take it and move on. J-Dub ended with 6 right on the hook. We put a little bit less than a 1 unit for Jalen Williams to get 7 dimes with Shea out again. He came close. He just couldn't do it. He had a 12 potential assists, 13 potential. So it's still a bet that I would make again at plus 120, even against the squad, the Dallas squad they played last night. Just didn't come through. And for Brunson, should have just faded everything. I knew the points were too high. He went under the points. 1 away from the dime. So another hook, about 3 hooks here on the losses. We've got Filipowski, Mikal Bridges, and J-Dub, and the Brunson bet. So all 4 of those bets there hooked us last night. It is what it is. This is the trials and tribulations of the NBA, but we're still up 35 units and expect some of that positive regression to keep coming back our way here, as we've won money now in 5 of the last 6 nights after a brutal stretch there. So we're going to keep it going here. If you do want to jump in the VIP, you got a couple opportunities for you to do that. The code over40 will get you 40% off your first month if you do want to jump in to the VIP and check it out for a discount to start. Or if you do want to sign up for any of these sports books that you see listed in the description of the video, there's Underdog, there's BetMGM, but there's a few more as well, like Better and Sleeper, and a couple more in there. So definitely check out the description of the video. If you do sign up for one of those books using code LYB, I'll go ahead and get you a free month in the Discord, the VIP section of the Discord. If you do send me a screenshot showing me that you signed up for one of these books, it's at JL Boogie on Twitter and Discord, and I'll get you that free month. But let's get into these looks that I've got here for Saturday. For those of you following along so far this season, you know we're using Props Madness, the absolute best product here, to be able to research for the NBA and find the best value available in the most efficient time. So if you don't yet have an account for Props Madness, go ahead and sign up using code LYB, or check out the free trial for a week or so that you can get by before you sign up as well, if you want to check it out and see how it works for you. But I'm going to be using that here on every one of these episodes and the live show that we have during the week at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Can't get an NBA live show going today, but we will be back on Monday with that. So definitely make sure to tune in. But let's kick it off here up top with this first game. It's not the sexiest game, and it's not the sexiest bet, but it is one that I like a lot. And I'm taking an under for Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, this might bump up to 13.5 for THJ before we get to the tip here. And I'm going to take under 13.5 as well, but I think 12.5 is still very playable. And here's what I'm looking at. First of all, Phoenix is very good at limiting spot up shots. And if you're using Props Madness and you scroll down here, you get something awesome called the play type analysis, right? And the play type analysis is going to show you the tendency for guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. What is he doing? How is he scoring his points? He's scoring his points off of the spot up primarily, 34%. So more than a third of his points are coming off of the spot up. You can see Phoenix is 5th best limiting spot up shooter points because that's Mike Budenholzer's defense. The head coach of the Suns has been doing this since the Bucks. He does not allow the guys standing off ball to catch and shoot with any kind of cleanliness. He's going to make sure that they get mucked up there. And he's going to allow the primary ball handler and the pick and roll ball handler, as you can see down here, 23rd limiting points to that play type. And that's not what THJ is doing. He's never got the ball in his hands for the dribble. He's got the ball in his hands because he's expected to pull it as soon as it's in his hands. And he's had some nice games over the course of the last 3 or so. But if you look at these teams against his play type that he's gone over against, they're terrible. So what you want to do is just quickly go to advanced filters, look at opponent rank versus DPT, which is defensive play type. So we're going to click on that and go to the top 10 teams in the league, or top 11, whatever you want to say, teams in the league and how he's done against them. That would be Phoenix. Now, you can see he's got this over right here against Phoenix in 29 minutes. He hit 4 of 6 threes, 6 of 10 from the floor. That's still not enough shots. And if you look at the amount of shots that he's taking against teams that are very good at limiting spot up, it's lower than his normal amount. It's 7 against the Celtics. He had 9 against the 76ers, but it's anywhere from 7 to 9, right? You're not going to see much more than that. He had 10 one time against these teams, twice, 11, everything else. And then 12 against the Knicks yesterday and still couldn't get there. 2 for 8 from 3 because this team is very good at limiting spot up shooting as well. And that's what Phoenix is going to do here, 5th best. So I like an under for Tim Hardaway Jr. in this one. I just don't know that you can guarantee that just because he's playing the minutes, which he's gotten a lot of minutes as of late for this team, that he's going to have success against a defense that's really based on stopping his type of player. I don't have much else for that game at the moment, so I'm going to move down here to the Celtics and the Hawks, and we still don't have the Celtics injury report, so that does mean that what I want to show you here is what I will be doing based on the announcements that we get, because we know that Al Horford and Kristaps are both uncertain to play today. That news came out right after the end of their game last night, where they defeated the Magic there pretty handily by 20, I believe. Yeah, 27 points that they won. Tatum still played 35 minutes. Most of the starters played 30 to 35 minutes last night, so they are a little bit, on not full rest for sure. They're like, it's not like they got to just sit in the fourth quarter of a blowout win. They were still playing close to 35 minutes for most of them. But what I'm looking at here is what is going to happen if Al Horford is in versus what happens if Kristaps is in. This tool that I'm bringing up here is called fantasylabs.com, and it's linked in the description of the video. So if you do want to find this, it's very easy. You can just go ahead and grab it in there. Everything here in front of a paywall, so you don't got to pay to use this very, very handy and I would say crucial tool for finding out how are guys going to perform based on who's going to be on the floor with them in this game. So here we have, I took on court. You see, you can select different players. On court, I've done this twice here. I've got Al Horford, White, Brown, Tatum, Holiday, all 5 of the normal starters without Kristaps. So this is assuming that Kristaps Porzingis does not play today. If Kristaps does not play, this is what I'm looking at here. These numbers are all per 36 minutes for these 5 guys when they're on the floor together. Right. And for these 5 guys, when they're on the floor together, you can see Tatum is taking the most shots, or excuse me, Jaylen Brown rather is taking 19 shots per 36 minutes. Jason Tatum second. And then we've got Derek White followed by Horford and Holiday both at about 9.5 shots per game. The next thing I noticed here, the rebounds. 6.4 for Tatum. We've got, 9 for Tatum, 6.4 for Derek White, only 5.8 for Al Horford here. And what I'm looking at here is Jason Tatum's at 9 boards per 36. We're going to see how different that looks when he plays with Kristaps. In fact, let me just go over. I also have Kristaps pulled up here instead of Al Horford. So I have the same 5 except sub in Kristaps for Al Horford, and these are their per 36 numbers. They've played 148 minutes together on the floor this season with these 5 guys. The rebounds for Tatum skyrocket, right? We go from 9 per 36 for him to 13.36 that you can see right here for Jason Tatum. So the rebounds, we've been talking about this all season with Kristaps out there. Tatum much better for the boards. It hasn't been as much of a guarantee for Tatum as of late. In a couple of these weird games, the Celtics lost like 3 of their last 6 now, actually, after beating the Magic. That got them back to 500 in their last 6 games. And Tatum hasn't really been boarding up that well, but that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing here is the difference between Jaylen Brown. Now, this is back to Al Horford on the floor for Kristaps. And with Jaylen Brown, the thing that really stands out to me is with Al Horford, he's taking the most shots on this team, and he's at 26 points per 36 minutes. His assists are at about 2.8 assists per 36. Not very good, right? And he's shooting about 8 threes. Keep that in mind. 8 threes, 2 dimes, 26 points. That's with Al Horford. The difference for JB when he's got Kristaps on the floor is that he's not shooting threes. He's not shooting as much in general, and he's diming up, getting assists a lot more often with Kristaps on the floor. So this is Jaylen Brown with Kristaps on the floor. He goes from taking 16 shots per 36 to 12.8. He goes from taking like 8 threes per game to about 5 per 36 in this situation. And his assists go up from about 2.8 to 5.8 per 36 minutes. So he's averaging 3 more dimes, about let's see, this is 10 more points because he's at 16 points with Kristaps on the floor. When he's got Al Horford, 3 more assists, 3 fewer assists, 10 more points. You see what I'm saying? So Jaylen Brown's a scorer when he's out there with Al Horford. He's a facilitator when he's out there with Kristaps Porzingis. So I'm going to go back to Props Madness here, pulling up Jay Brown. I'm going to wait for that news about which center is likely going to play, because I think one of them is out and one of them is in between Horford and Porzingis. If Porzingis is in, we're looking a lot more at Jaylen Brown assists, which are at 5.5 now. And to be honest, for plus money at 5.5 with Kristaps out there, that's going to be a consideration for me. If Kristaps is not out there, I'm going right to his points. I think JB wants to punish this Hawks squad anyway. They're so weak everywhere. They're probably not going to have Jalen Johnson. He's questionable. We've also got a couple other guys on the report for them. Risa Shea is out. Trey's probable. But most importantly, Jalen Johnson being questionable and not looking like he might play in this one, as he's missed like 4 games in a row now. That's going to be a problem for the Hawks trying to stop a guy like Jaylen Brown and trying to stop a guy like Jason Tatum. But most importantly for Brown is who is on the floor at center. And if it's Horford playing in this game, we're going points for Brown. If it's Porzingis in this game, we're going assists for Brown. That's how we're going to play this one. And Tatum, maybe the boards if we have Kristaps in. But I'm staying away from these boards if Kristaps is out entirely. And if he's in, we might even get a better price at 8.5 on the rebound. So stay tuned to that and make sure you're checking those lines here today for the Celtics as those injury reports come out. As we go over to the Pacers and the 76ers game, this injury report is just a mess. And I want to show you that right here. This is the official NBA injury report, also linked in the description of the video. This gives you the exact information you need, right? Like this is the teams sending their reports to the NBA and the NBA sending that back our way for us to use. So that's what you want to make sure you're using here. You can click every hour on the half hour. You can see they're going to update this injury report. So we've most recently got the 12:30 p.m. Eastern injury report still out. And what I want to look at real quick with this 76ers squad is that I don't know what to do with it. Andre Drummond probable, Joel is out, probably at least another couple weeks for Joel. Paul George is questionable, and then we've already got all these guys out, and we've got Yabusele is also questionable. So I don't know. There's no way you could make a bet on this game without knowing what's up with Yabu and what's up with Paul George if he's in or out. Obviously, Paul George being even more important than Yabu, but Yabu is also super important because he's going to be playing a lot of the 4 if he's out there, and he'll probably be getting 30 minutes, even though Andre Drummond is set to play. So I'm staying away from that one for right now. Going to need to see what happens with those injury reports. And then when I'm looking at this Warriors and Wizards game, obviously Steph Curry is going to be the guy people want to talk about. He needs to do superhuman things right now for this team to really win and really to kind of hang with even bad teams at this point. They lost to the Raptors. He scored 26 in the 35 minutes he played, 9 for 17 from the field, still couldn't do it for them because this team is struggling because Dennis Schroeder is struggling. He does not deserve to be looking at 12.5 is fair. He's had 15.5 point props up, and he's just not getting close to that. So I'm not touching anything in this game. I don't know what to do with the Wizards. This is the one place that I'd be going. And it's mostly because of the Wizards, right? We just don't know who they're going to be giving minutes to. Don't know if Joe Val's going to play. They're not trying to win. And it's almost impossible to handicap basketball teams that are not trying to win. That's the problem. We saw Jordan Poole the other night get 18 points. Needed he had like 20 minutes left in the game to be able to get 4. Just didn't put him back in. He had 5 fouls. They just didn't. Why would they need to? Why would you put him back in? You don't need to win. He's just the best option for you scoring. So you're not even putting him back in the game. I can't do anything with that, right? Like I need both teams to be trying to win for me to be able to actually calculate what the fuck is going to happen in the NBA. All right, Trace Jackson Davis is the only one I'd be looking at for the boards. They're dumb high at this point, and it's because he's coming off a 15 rebound game against the Timberwolves in 27 minutes, where they won that game by 1, eked it out after having like a 30-point lead at one point. And TJD did get 27 minutes, but I can't project his minutes, man. I don't know how to project anybody. I think 27 to 30 is fair for him. So if we want to look at that, let's say he gets 26 to 30 minutes. I'm going to filter his minutes here by moving this bar over from 26 to 30 to see how he's done this season in 26 to 30 minutes. And when he's gotten 26 to 30, he's over in half of them. He's averaging 10.5 a game. There's just not much of an edge here, right? Like the Wizards are going to be a team that you'd expect him to be able to handle and defeat because he's a young guy who should be getting minutes against a young, terrible defense. But I just can't guarantee it. I don't know what Steve Kerr's doing. And if I can't project minutes and usage for a player, then I can't really bet on them. So not much for that one. Last thing I'm going to look at here with you guys is the Cavs and the Timberwolves, because there's 2 guys that I want to look at here. Naz Reid is going to be one, and Rudy is the other. And starting with Rudy, the look is always going to be, well, this team is going up. The Timberwolves are going up against the Cavs. Anybody who plays the Cavs, you're going up against Mobley. You're going up against Jared Allen. So you need to have more bigs on the floor for more time. So that's why I did see last year when these 2 teams played, I switched it to 23-24, hit head-to-head. And if I look at the rebounds for Rudy, it's minutes and rebounds, right? 37 minutes game 1, 37 minutes game 2, 31 rebound chances and 31 rebound chances in both of these games, right? Pulled down 17 and 15. Now, Cat wasn't in those games. When you hover over on Props Madness past games, you can see missing players, which is huge. Cat was missing from that one, which is really all that matters. And without him, 37 minutes was probably always going to be the case for Rudy Gobert as their only real big left, alongside Naz Reid, who also had awesome games against this team last season, in part because he played 32 and 26 minutes, which the 26, whatever, they lost by 9. He still shot the ball 15 times in 26 minutes last year against this squad. And he's just, I don't know what to do with his minutes again. Now, Naz Reid has been playing more minutes lately in general, so regardless of who they're playing, because he's kind of a much better fit on the floor than Julius Randle is for this team. I mean, Naz Reid should probably be the starting power forward. If this offense was going to look as good as it could, then it would have Naz Reid out there for more, and it hasn't. The last 15 games, though, have definitely been a bit of an uptick for Naz. He's up to about 15.6 points per game in the last 15, and the minutes have all been 20-ish plus, like at least close to 25, if not more, for him, averaging about 25, 26. So he's stepped it up a bit. He's shooting a bit better. I do think he'll be needed more in this game, but this is high, man. At 13.5, it's still pretty high for Naz Reid if he's going to get 25 minutes in this one. I can't guarantee he's going to do more than that. I also can't guarantee Rudy's going to do more than that, and I hate having to bet on this Minnesota team right now. I think the Cavs are going to come back with a vengeance, but haven't been able to really get much of an edge on any of their stuff. Also, Jared Allen, very high on the points, very high in the rebounds. And as long as they keep his points and his rebounds as high as this for him, regardless of the matchup, it's just tough for me. These are 2 teams playing very defensive minded, a little bit more slowly. So I don't have any overs in this game, but I'm looking at Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert. I'll be tapping into the VIP Discord to drop those final looks here today before that game tips off. Final reminder, if you do want to jump into the VIP, make sure you're not missing any of the plays that we're putting down here. Up 37 units on the season. We are looking to get over 40 units again. So that's why we still got a couple codes left for over 40. There should be 2 left in there if you do want 40% off the first month, and doing a lot more than just dropping plays in there. I hope you guys know that there's a lot of opportunities for one-on-one sports betting consultations, and the chat has been absolutely vital for a lot of us here, with looks coming in from a lot of smart people. We've got the VIP cappers in there as well, helping me out. So appreciate everybody following along. I'll be back with NBA for Sunday as well. And until I see y'all next, happy betting.